Hi, this is Tag again, and today I want to go over a method for diagnosing broken memory chips on older GPUs that are not supported by software like MATs and other diagnosis softwares that can basically tell you which memory chip is faulty on modern GPUs. So if you're looking for a video that helps you with repairing modern GPUs like a, I don't know, RTX 2080, I'm going to link something here in the corner probably if I find something good, but there is plenty of good GPU repair videos on YouTube. Uh, Not so much for the older stuff, but the method here is definitely not new. Uh, though the first person I know that kind of did this is Shaggy, so I'm obviously going to also link his video in the corner here. And yeah, let's move along. Now this is going to be for cards that are based on GDDR3 and GDDR1. Also works on GDDR5, as you will see in Shaggy's video. But I'm only going to go over those two. Let's start with GDDR3, I guess, because I have it right in front of me here. Now, let's scroll down to the pinout. Here we are. Now, for all of this, the relevant thing will be our Vref. Now, this is a reference voltage. As far as I understand it, it's basically for the memory chip to determine when something is high or when something is low. So it's basically in the middle between PMEM and ground usually. So this voltage is usually generated by a voltage divider. So just two resistors very close to the memory chip, and it's generated for each memory chip individually. Usually there's a few exceptions, but not that many. So what we are going to do is we want to pull this Vref low. So basically the GPU has no clue anymore if something is a 1 or is a 0, and it will just, or the memory chip rather, and it will just start artifacting like crazy. And this way it will generate artifacts in a specific portion of the screen. So let's have a look at that. Let's take an example, a GeForce 4 Ti 128, why not? Although this is one of those exceptions again. So you can see here we have artifacting in a very particular part of the screen. This one is blank, unfortunately, but yeah, this is not the greatest one. But you can see that these, except for this one, because this is a weird card where one of the memory chips doesn't artifact like all the others. But you can see the vertical stripes sort of moving. And for another set of chips, you have horizontal stripes. Now with these, you can basically find the position they're in based on the text of our boot screen. And yeah, that's basically what kind of artifact patterns you expect. Now let's go into a different one that might be a bit better to see. Sure, let's do a GFX. Now again, this is pretty NVIDIA typical in that generation, by the way. These vertical stripes. But the reason I'm going to show you the method how I got to this is basically that these pictures that I'm obviously also going to share with you are only useful really if you have the exact same board, because some of the artifact patterns are quite intricate and like hard to tell the position unless you have the text from the BIOS as a reference basically. So you can see that's I have my numbers here up here. So memory chip 1, memory chip 2, memory chip 3 apparently doesn't go to BIOS, 4 the same. And you can see again the mix of horizontal and vertical ones for each memory chip. Now let's do an ATI one. That's an ATI 9800 Pro is an ATI card. So it's just a good example that it's basically very dependent on the architecture of the GPU, but it's also going to be dependent on your BIOS as well. Going to show you that shortly. So you can see here these little black boxes, and they also move, but it's really hard to tell if you don't have a reference. So you always want to basically take a screenshot. Ideally, it would be something like a capture card for this probably, but I don't have one, so I just take a photo of the screen and basically just compare the position of the artifacts, and then note down, number your memory chips in a order that makes sense for you. So 1, 2, 3, 4 on the front, and 5, 6, 7, 8 on the back, for example, for me here, this 9800 Pro. And then you can easily correlate each artifact and packet them to a memory chip. And once you have done this on a functional card, now you're obviously not going to break the card doing this. That's the good thing. You can way quicker diagnose a broken one after. So let's get another example. This is a good one because it's in a different BIOS. Now this is in different BIOS mainly for the reason that this is a 8800 GTS with the first revision G92 core, and that one doesn't run on PCIe 1.1 motherboards. That's a known issue. So ignore the green stripes. Those are the actual issue with the GPU. So that's actually the thing I'm trying to fix, and I fixed it eventually. And then you can see these white stripes. That's basically because our memory chip doesn't do anything at all. And you can see same pattern shifting. You have these vertical lines here, and then one line that's kind of larger on each side, and like that. And yeah, easy to tell which section of the screen stuff is happening in, and diagnose the broken memory chip based on that. Actually, let's see if we can figure out which one was our broken one. We have our green line here. We still see the green line here. We do not see the green line here. So our broken memory chip was... I didn't number those pictures like I did the other ones. Great. This is probably chip number 6, I should say. Yeah, 6. So that's... if we have a 6 would be this one. My numbering for the G92s is the same. So that, yeah, I can remember replacing that chip. So, or maybe it was this one, but I think it was the far out here. So that's right. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for that part. Let's just quickly go over some more data sheets to show you in which area basically your Vref might be located. This is a TSLP package, GDDR1. Now, I find this TSLP package way nicer to work with for 2 reasons. One is it's easier to solder, or rather, you don't have to rebolt the chips. It's not that hard rebolting chips, but it's kind of annoying to know when all your bolts basically have liquefied and made contact properly. So, and the second one is that these TSLP chips are 16-bit with chips, so basically you have twice as many memory chips, and especially for the GeForce 4 series, you basically would have, if you have BGA chips, you have 2 BGA chips on the same memory channel. You can sort of imagine like 2 resistors in parallel, and you can diagnose which one is your bad one exactly. You can just diagnose which 2 are your bad ones. Anyways, basically here is your VREF on the right side, roughly in the middle. I'm going to show you how to find it relatively easily on basically any memory chip with a multimeter. So let's just go over one more thing. That's a BGA package, GDDR1. Okay, so this took a while, so I had to cut here. Now this is the datasheet for a Hynix GDDR as DRAM, and you can see X32, so a 32-bit chip. It's going to be BGA chip. Here we go. That's our BGA, and conveniently our Vref is located in a corner. Why that is useful, you will see on the bench when I actually show you how to find these Vref dividers. So anyways, that's it for the theory part. Let's move on to the bench and show you how it's done.
So here we are. I got a couple examples. I got some more. Now let's start with this one. This is a GDDR3 based card. This is a GeForce 7900 GTO. I haven't done one of those before, so I haven't fully done. I have figured out where everything is, so I can hopefully show it nicely and quickly. So, as you have seen on the datasheet, and that's why I showed you the datasheet, so that you know the location of the Vref. There is one Vref here and one Vref on the other side. So that would mean that very likely all 4 of those resistors are our Vref. Now how we find out is basically to measure between our ground and one of those resistors. Okay, that's 30 ohms. In the middle, or rather on the other side of this resistor, we have 380 ohms. Other side of this resistor we have 380 as well, so that would mean that those two are likely linked, so let's check. I'm not sure if I was touching there. Yep, they are linked, so that's already a good sign that we have the middle of our divider. Now the other resistor, if this is a voltage divider, would have to be ground. And look at that, it is. Now, don't get irritated by this, my multimeter probes are really crappy and worn out, so, and full of flux as well. So it always reads 1 ohm or something like that. And the other side read like 30 ohms, right? Exactly. So 30 ohms would be a good value for a VMEM rail. So let's just check to make sure. This is our VMEM rail here, our VMEM inductor up here. Yeah, this is VMEM. Actually, let's zoom you in a bit more before I do the other side, in case you didn't see this. So the other side, probably the same. I have one on ground here. Let's measure the bottom one. Again, 30 ohms. Top one, 0 ohms. Middle, 380 ohms. And linked. Yes. Let's check the bottom one again, towards EMAM. There we go. So we have 2 Vref dividers, 1 on each side. And to freak out our memory chip and get it to artifact and basically not really do anything, we want to short the ground side. So in this case we're going to short this one that I already had shorted. And just maybe the other way around actually. This is just a wire and I'm just going to solder it parallel to the resistor. Quickly check on our bottom one. Top was 380, it's still 380, that means I did not make contact. Always double check that, otherwise you might think that, oh, this memory chip doesn't cause the card to artifact. I did it a couple times and got quite confused. So always measure after soldered your little bodge wire to short it. So now he's seen it, it's 1 ohm, so it's shorted. And yeah, it's ready to test. I'm obviously going to show you what this does now and maybe show you that it works afterwards, just so you're, in case you didn't trust me, that this is safe for the cards. Anyways, this is our little ADI Radeon 9000. I just recently fixed this one. So let's get our ground. Now we were on the right side, roughly in the middle, so there is a couple of resistors here. Let's see. Maybe 700 ohms would be reasonable. but that side is not reasonable for a VMEM. Especially since I think VMEM should be this one probably on this card. No, that's definitely not it. Mega ohms? No. Okay, we have these ones up top here. Let's see. Okay, this side is ground. This is promising. See what the middle is. That would be a reasonable value for a Vref. You're already again seeing only half the multimeter. Great. So that one is about 270 ohms. Also 270, so the middle is linked probably. Yep, you can obviously also trace it out from the pin, but I don't like counting that many pins, and I find it easier to just poke around in the area until you find something that looks like a voltage divider. So this side should be your VMEM. 100 ohms seems about fine, and if this capacitor is indeed VMEM, it would be the right one, but it apparently isn't VMEM. Interesting. Where would we find VMEM? Now, guaranteed to be VMEM almost is this one. Also isn't VMEM. Huh, how curious. Is this some sort of VTT rail here that this thing has? But I'm almost certain this is our divider, so I'm just not sure what's going on. Where does our VMEM come from, or does this have a divider between something else than VMEM, something like, I don't know, 3 volts? No, this would be, this is V-core, this is 100% V-core. Is it made by this linear regulator here? Ah, we found our VMEM. Okay, it's made by this little linear regulator. That's why it doesn't have many caps, because linear regulator does not cause a bunch of ripple. So yeah, this one was our ground side, right? I talked so much that I forgot what no, the top one is the ground side. Okay, so let's grab a wire and short that one as well. So got a wire, and same procedure as before. Then I'm just going to add a little bit of flux here, I think. Great, I wiped away the resistor. Come on, go back down. There we go. Okay, I think that made contact. Let's double check again. Go of the bottom resistor. Yep, 1 ohm. Bend this out of the way. Okay, so those two are ready to test. Now the third one is going to be a purely kind of measuring and show and tell case. Because this Perilia here is one of the cards from the broken GPU lot, and I have not yet fixed it. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure if this one is fixable. But it should be a good showcase for the BGA package GDDR1. Now here it's diagonally across from the point as far as I can remember. So we have a bunch of little resistors here. Let's zoom you in as far as we can go, because those resistors are smaller than the other ones. So we have a bunch of resistors over here, so let's start. 100 ohms, that could already be VMEM. Other side, oh, great. I say 100 ohms and I don't show a multimeter on screen. There we go, 100 ohms on that side of the resistor. 520 ohms on the other side. That seems like a divider. Now this is a capacitor, so up here is another resistor. Also 520 ohms. other side of that resistor, ground. Cool. So I suspect VMEM to be somewhere up here. This is probably going to be a video going to be titled Tech tries to find VMEM, I guess. Come on. Is it just crusty probes? Yes, okay. That's VMEM. So this would be our divider, this resistor here and that resistor over here. Now, I'm not going to do anything on here, but I think me finding this quickly on a card that I've never poked around on before kind of shows you that if you know where your VRF pin is, and that's just something you find in the pinout, it's pretty easy to guesstimate where your divider is. So let's get to a couple exceptions. I don't have one of them here, but one of them is GeForce 4 Ti series. They have the 2 chips in parallel, as I already said, and they have one VRF divider for 2 chips. So simple as that. And the other exception that you unfortunately can't fix is GDDR, not GDD, DDR2 based cards. They don't seem to have VREF, I guess. I don't know, I couldn't find anything on these that even remotely looks like a VREF divider. This is I think a GeForce 7600GS. It's also from the broken lot. I'm reasonably sure by now that it was not, as I said in that video, a issue with the bridge chip, but rather a memory issue. But I have yet to find a way to diagnose memory on this. That's not just removing every memory chip, seeing if that changed anything, rebuilding it, putting it back and stuff like that. So yeah, that's it for the exceptions. Let's move on to testing these 2 little cards here and show you what it looks like. Okay, so we have our little board wire here. Let's turn this on. Post. Seen some artifacts there already. Very nice. Let's reboot. Go into BIOS. Now this is unfortunate with this 4-core duo. You have to always like reset once to get into BIOS, but there we are. We got something that looks very much like memory, but a bit different than the other NVIDIA cards I showed you in the screenshots I make. So 7000 series definitely looks a bit different. But yeah, that's how the artifacting looks like with memory chip 1. Basically disabled. Let's turn this off and swap it. Right, this has a clip. Right, no, PCIe doesn't on this. Right, that's nice. Let's put in the AGP card. Now that's the amazing thing about the 4-core duo. You can just test AGP card right after a PCIe card. Let's turn it on. Get to the screen. There we go, nice blue lines. Let's reset it. Go into BIOS. There we go. Now those lines they actually look a bit thinner than I would have thought, but that might be because I've never had an AGP card with DSOP, so with only 16-bit chips that I did this with. So yeah, that's our pattern for this one. Now I'm just going to go to the bench really quickly and undo the mods and put them back, so you see that they work fine afterwards. Okay, so time to make them happy again. Let's remove our bodge wires. There we go. Just to be safe, I'm going to measure and see that we already got our resistance right again, 380 ohms. And on this one, I think it was 270 something ohms. There we go, removed. Stupid thing. There we go, 270 something ohms. So let's put those back in the system and everything should be fine. Okay, we're back. Let's turn it on. Or you see here on that post screen, no artifacts, that's reboot, go into BIOS. There we go, all clean. Turn it off. Swap the card. Radeon 9000 time. Adapter. Fan. And there we go. And looks clean. Push that. Go into BIOS. There you go. Nice and working Radeon 9000. So I hope this will help some of you to revive some of your hopeless cases, and in general have some fun figuring out GPU repair on retro stuff, because I think that's a bit of an underappreciated field of the art of GPU repair. Anyways, that's it. Bye.